Live.
We are live for the first ever AMA for myself. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for taking the time to be here, ask questions. Really, the reason for this is that I wanted to make sure that there was every opportunity to ask as many questions as possible, and I didn't want to make this long. I want to make it short. So this is only going to be 30 minutes. And I told Cody to do a hard cut. You'll be able to hear a voice in the background. Cody, say hi.
Hi. How's everyone doing?
Cody is here to organize everything for me. So the idea here is that I answer the questions that the audience asks. Because this is the first one, people are probably, I'm not going to get a huge audience here. I know that's Cody has prepared a bunch of questions from himself and also from what people have asked over the week. Our plan is to do this every single week, but switch the times up because we want to make sure that everybody in the entire world has the ability to ask questions. So we'll have a morning one and a night one, and we'll alternate every week. So welcome. And thanks for being here. But let's go ahead and start it off. We're going to prioritize questions from the audience, but like I said, if you don't have any questions, Cody will be here. And this week we are going to do a giveaway for best question asked. We're going to Cody has decided to give away one of his awesome NFTs. Cody, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. We will be giving away a Crisp Bro. Not just any Crisp Bro, but Stoner Crisp Bro.
So, nice.
If you guys are interested in getting your hands on that, ask some questions. Best question gets it.
Yeah. So Dale, who's an amazing artist, has created a series of what it's called Crisp Bros. Is animated little versions of me dressed in all different types of things, and this one is Stoner me. So please get your questions in, and we'll pop them up, and we'll answer them. But Cody, you want to actually give it a shot? Do you want to start?
Yeah. First question I got for you here that I tell up is, tell me about your development history. Like, what piqued your interest? Like, how old you were, and what did you start off building?
All right, starting off with good personal question. Wonderful. So yeah, I started developing when I was 12 or 13 years old. I was given a computer. It was like a garage sale computer that somebody found. It was old school DOS computer, and I fell in love with the thing. For the younger people out there, DOS is a old school operating system that didn't have the graphical interface. It was all text based. And what I did is I just went through every executable file and typed them in to see what happened. And one of them was QBasic. And QBasic is a old programming language that came with the Microsoft operating system. And there was two applications in there specifically that I really liked. One was called Nibbles, and the other one was Gorillas. They're both games that you could play back in the day, and it was the full code base. So I started teaching myself how to code by going through reading all of the source code and modifying it to see what I could actually do. The first thing I was ever successful in developing was I in the game Gorillas, where you threw bananas at each other. I gave myself a bazooka banana that did a much larger explosion, and that was the first thing I ever actually built. But at that point, I knew that programming in general was something that I always wanted to do. So I took every class that I could. I ended up teaching some classes while still actually in high school. I convinced my school system to allow me to work as an internship for the school system, working on their mainframe systems. I also worked for an ISP while still in high school, and I built out it was one of those like telephone voice app where you call in, you hit a number. I built one of those, and then went from there. And I was a developer for a long time until about, it's 2024, probably 14 years ago. I'm really old, but 14 14 years ago is when I kind of switched away from being an actual developer and switched over to first hopped over to product in general, helping decide what to build, and then I went to CTO, and then started companies, and from there, and that's kind of my development history. I still develop now. I'm horrible now. I can get things done, but I should not be building anything production level at all anymore.
Heard that. Heard that. Next question I got for you here, sir, is what was the first blockchain job you ever had?
First blockchain job. So the first blockchain job where actually I got paid for it is definitely different than my first blockchain developments, because I got my first Bitcoin in 2013, and I got it from Henrik, who is now working with the Void team. But I didn't really truly start focusing on it until 2015ish, 2016, where at that point I was running a software services company, focusing obviously on Web 2, but I was really into Web 3, and so we'd build prototypes and such to figure out what Ethereum could actually do back then, and kind of really get my hands dirty at that point. But the first blockchain job was when I sold off the services company, because I was like, okay, now is the time to go in all in Web3. And this was in 2017, where the first company I started in blockchain was a layer 2 scaling solution. This was it didn't work out, sadly, but I learned a lot from it. We raised a little bit of money, not a lot, built up the team, and one of the things that it was a similar plasma style layer 2, but one of the things that we were doing is we were working more on the programmability layer, which is we ran into a lot of issues of trying to convince developers to program in a different way. And this is where Jay, who's the co-founder of Reach, that I met him, he came in to help build a better system for development. And through this process, I learned that it was actually much more exciting of a project to actually build a way to make blockchain development easier than figuring out a layer 2 scaling solution. Because at the same time, Arbitrum and Optimism, which was Plasma Group back then, and Polygon had pretty good steam, and our scaling solution wasn't actually much different than that. But this is where the idea of Reach came from, which is a entire language and compiler and deployment tools and everything like that. And I pivoted from working on that layer 2 scaling solution into focus primarily on the development layer with Jay.
All right. We got a new question from the audience here, from Rob Sanders here. And he goes, what, if anything, has changed since the original Void white paper was produced?
Awesome. Man, I haven't actually read that thing in a long time. Because usually, so give you kind of like an outline. So when you start a project, you write a white paper that kind of outlines what the goals of everything are, and the how do we want to really be successful, or what do we believe that things it would take to actually be successful. As far as actually the white paper and where we are now, for the most part, the theme and the gist of everything is in the same direction, with the idea that we want to actually launch a blockchain that is focused on community. The focused on the main thing that we always say is that it's a travesty that the 1%ers own 90% of the tokens in the world. If you look at the actual distribution of majority of blockchains, there's a very few amount of wallets that actually own the large majority of all tokens. And that to me is actually a huge problem, because that small percentage is usually made up of investors or early participants that really aren't adding value anymore. And what I wanted to do is actually ask the question of like, what could a chain look like if more people that are adding value are being they actually have ownership of the chain itself. And so that's been the mission of Voy from the start. Um, and the obviously the first major thing was to actually take existing tech rather than build another consensus, rather build another VM. Take one that we really think is very good, has a lot of potential, and expand it and work on it from there, and allow us to actually start from that solid foundation and go from there. The other major things that we really address there is user accessibility, or user experience in general. We talk a lot about Voy ID in it, which is a new wallet protocol. There's nothing that's actually changed there. The major thing that's, I would say, like this I wouldn't say it changed. It's just that we've built out a prototype of what Voy ID would work. Worked actually with Jay with writing that protocol. And the main thing is like we've discovered that we can't really push Voy ID out early. We've been focused primarily on gathering the community, figuring out what it is to make a successful blockchain and like get out of the gates. And once that happens, then the focus will be back on Voy ID, which will then fix the whole issues with spending or actually using the blockchain. This really cool thing, I'll just tell you what the Voy ID is at a high level, is that it uses delegated logic SIGs and a multi-wallet system that allows for embedding wallets into the applications. But the wallets themselves can only sign transactions based on a strict language of what they're allowed to actually sign, but from a central wallet. So, giving you an example, say Starbucks adopts a Voy. They haven't yet. We haven't talked to them, but it's a good example because they have a point system. They have Starbucks points, and then what you would do is you could actually embed a wallet that is in just the Starbucks app. And then you would create a delegation to a central wallet that says this wallet can sign as many Starbucks tokens as it wants, and up to 10 Voy a week. And as long as it fits within those limits that you set, it can only then it can automatically send. You don't have to worry about doing a signing, so it feels like using blockchain out of the feels like using a normal application rather than using blockchain. There's several other things into it, and I think it's in the white paper. I'm rambling now. And then the final thing in the white paper that we talk about, which is still the belief, is that you need to focus on a single industry once you actually start approaching mainstream users. And we believe that there's a huge opportunity in the membership infrastructure, which is like membership management and also loyalty points that can be tackled really easily, and it's a huge market. So most of that is actually the same. I wouldn't once again, I would have to really kind of go over it to see if there's any major differences, but the heart and soul of it still is definitely there.
Awesome. All right. We got a comment from Shelly. REM, this as a Q basic comment. Q basic me too. LOL.
Shelly, you are a huge nerd. Yes, that is a way that you did comments in QBasic. You also had like go-to statements where you had line numbers and you could go to the specific line number. Good old school QBasic. So thank you, Rob. I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, ask a new question and I will answer that new one. But so far, obviously, the best question so far is Rob's, because he's the only one to ask. So as of right now, Rob, you are in the lead for winning a CRISPRO.
This is true. We do got 48 viewers right now. So all the new people that show up, the best comment wins a CRISPRO. And not just any CRISPRO, Stoner CRISPRO. All right. All right. So
and the cool thing is, Cody, is that because it's built on the ARC-72 architecture. All we need is a wallet address, and it can be sent to it. We don't need to worry about anybody opting in or anything. It can send it right to whatever wallet address that Rob gives us.
This is very true. So right now, Rob, hard lead. Just saying that, guys.
Hard
So
lead.
I want to go ahead start off with one of my questions here for you. What were you doing when you came up with the idea of Voy? Like, where were you up to? Like, were you just like sitting on the couch watching a movie? Having a chat with a friend? What were you
That's
doing?
funny. What was I doing? So one of the what inspired Voy and what was I doing when I was talking about Voy are I think two different things. I think the more fun answer is, by the way, did you just notice that the Nightbot tool is just telling everybody no when they ask a question?
Wait, when you say can, it'll say no or what? It'll say
okay.
no.
All right.
That one is a funny thing.
Gotcha. Anyway, so when I was thinking about Voy, I guess the idea of where did the name Voy come from is that I wanted the idea of Voy to be this is a community chain. This is your chain. This is not Chris launching a chain and everybody using it. This is Chris is gathering a bunch of people to launch a chain with everybody's help. And so I was like, oh, this is what if we actually called the chain we? This is is there a cool another language word for we? And so I was like, so Silvio created the AVM, and he's Italian, and he's very much Italian. What if we actually figure out what the word for we is in Italian? And so I reached out to one of my Italian friends and asked him hey, what's we in Italian? And we in Italian is noi, and NOI. And I'm like, huh, okay. I'm like, that doesn't sound so good, especially because it sounds like annoy way too much. But then he came up and said, actually, you all is Voy. I'm like, Voy, that sounds a lot better. So that's kind of how the word Voy came. I'm like, this is your chain. So I think it actually fit better. Now, why was I inspired of Voy in general is that, as you all know, or many of you know about myself, is that I've been in crypto for a very long time. I fell in love with the whole idea of decentralization and the ability to remove a centralized power away from applications. And because I look around at the world and I see the Googles, the Amazons, all of these huge companies, the Facebooks, and they productize the end user. And I feel that that's not good because, I also see the middle class going away, and then pretty much the super rich keep getting super richer, and then everybody else becomes poorer and poorer and poorer. And I thought that one of the reasons why this has happened is that through technology, it's been able to cast a wider net, and having a wider net allows for bigger companies, and that's what's happened. So when blockchain originally came out, I got really excited about the whole idea of a decentralized applications, making it so that the end user is not necessarily the product, but the end user is also the owner. And if they're able to put value in, they are able to then get value out. And I just loved that idea. I was like, this is the thing that the world needs to start balancing things out. And this was 2015, 2016. I was like, okay, this is this is the thing that I have to devote my life to. And all my friends and everything could probably attest to that because I started talking their ears off about it for a long time now. But I knew that it wasn't a guaranteed thing. I knew that if it got into the wrong hands, if it wasn't done correctly, it wouldn't achieve what blockchain, the true potential of blockchain. And so I dove headfirst and have been working my entire a long time now. Like I said, 2015, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in trying to make blockchain mainstream in however way that I want, or however way that's possible, and where my skills actually bring. In 2022, through some frustrations that I was having in just blockchains in general and the companies and everything, it gave me the ability to kind of take a step back and ask myself, like, why am I here? Why am I still in blockchain? A lot of my friends that started a long time ago are out doing other things. And I asked the question, like, why am I here? And the answer was that I still believe in the potential, like the everything I said earlier about actually distributed applications and really making it more fair for the world. I still see the actual potential of that there. But I looked around and I see that all blockchains are still centralized. They're not only are they centralized, but didn't actually believe that they would ever decentralize, because one of the things that we've learned over and over and over again is the hardest thing in the entire world to give up is power. And once you have power, you're not going to want to let it go. And the only way that a blockchain would decentralize after a successful is if it stops being successful, and then all they're doing is then convincing everybody else to be, X liquidity, and then it's already on the downslide. So I asked the question of, like, what would it look like if a blockchain was actually decentralized or distributed from the very beginning, or at best that we possibly can? And I didn't see it anywhere else. And I'm the type of person that, even if it's an impossible thing, which so many people told me about Voi, is like, Voi is impossible. Don't do it. You're stupid for doing this. And like, the world doesn't need another L1. But I kept asking, like, well, are we happy with the existing L1s? And of course, no, we're not. I'm like, well, if we're not happy with the existing L1s and we don't believe the L1s can get to where we want, then we have to do a new L1. And, I decided to actually start figuring out what that looks like, even though it was a very daunting task. But through the community, the Voi community is amazing, extremely active. Putting not only like active, like saying good morning, there are people are putting in actual work, actual like blood, sweat, and tears, and making this happen. And it's been successful so far. So there you go.
All right. We got another question from Rob Sanders. Can you talk about the biggest challenges and how the community can help with those challenges?
Yeah. The biggest challenges are how agile we have to be. So it's like the biggest challenge is that the challenges change very very frequently and very quickly, because launching a blockchain, launching any type of decentralized distributed community is very hard, because there's a lot of people that need to have buy-in, a lot of people that need to put the work out. And so the main thing that I would say is the biggest challenge of doing this is doing it in a decentralized way, in a distributed way. This is one of the reasons why I push the values so hard, because it's very hard to tell people what to do. But if you establish the values of Voi, which are goodwill, integrity, collaboration, and intentionality, as what it means to be Voi, it allows you for things to scale more. So the biggest challenge is keeping things decentralized, or keeping things distributed, and understanding that things do go slower and things are much harder in this way. And the way that the community can actually help is understand that you matter, that you are part owner of this chain. Act like it. Put like this is like when you buy a house and you have a yard. Make the yard look nice. Put in the effort. Be part of the community. Ask your neighbor if they need help. They're going out of town. Ask them how you can actually make things better for them. And so that the biggest thing that the community can do is understand what skills that you have, and understand this is not just technical. This is everything. And offer, like, not just offer the help, do the things. Put the word out. Run spaces. Just recently, Rach has started doing a weekly Friday space, which is amazing. She's like, I can talk. I have a feeling. I have an ability to shape what Voi is with my voice, and that's what she's doing. Rob, he is more technical. He asked if he could help with the relay network, and he's been doing amazing with that. Everybody, it takes a village, quite literally, and we are a village. We are a overall ecosystem, And so, if you truly want Void to be successful, if you truly believe in what blockchain's potential is by actually being distributed, um, put in effort, put in your skills to make Void what you want it to be.
Right. I'll go ahead and start off with one of my questions, and just a reminder for everyone that hasn't come up here: the best question earns a Chris Bro, and right now Rob Sanders it's just there, and no one else is challenging him. So I want to go
Things like,
ahead. Huh?
is Rob's second question better than his first, or is his first better? That's tough.
I'd say his first is better
First
personally.
is better. Okay.
Yeah.
So Cody, your next question.
Who is a blockchain developer that you admire, sir? You look up to, who you would look up for guidance and so forth?
So that's a different. Who's a developer that I look up to, and who is a developer I admire? Like, it really, I'm going to give you an engineer answer. Is like, it depends on what exactly that you're asking for. There are several developers that are very skilled in the Voi ecosystem, and if I were actually to name, it's so hard to name one, but one of the things that I do actually admire a lot are the ones that are building without like much direction, where it's like they are putting the effort into Voi. They are making it their own. Kind of going back to the last thing that Rob asked, and putting their all of their effort into, because they have full-time jobs, of course, and the developer like that comes to mind. There's actually two of them, but Shelly and Zarmian are both developers that I truly admire because of all of the work that they put into Voi, and without asking for handouts or anything of that sort, just putting the effort in because they believe in it. They are, it's so hard to actually just name a couple, because even Ost and his brother Mitch are doing really great, and D13, the amount of work that he's done, and like he pops in when he's like, oh Chris, I have this thing, and then it's like a surprise every time that he's done it, which is several times now. But I also admire Jay. So Jay, my co-founder of Reach, is an absolutely amazing engineer as well. But yeah, like Henrik, he would never say that he's a developer or engineer, but the amount of like technical know-how and skill and everything, I admire him as well. So it's too hard to say one, but there's several out there.
Awesome. All right, we got a question from Haruf. Haruf wants to know, when you wake up in the morning, how long until you look at your dork?
Okay. I like, honestly, so for context here, dorks are the first NFT project on Voi, and honestly, the dork is one of the first things I look at every day. And you might think I'm joking when I say that. It's because who looks at a NFT every day? I do, because I actually I purchased the dork number one. So the first NFT ever minted on Voi, I purchased that one, and I printed out, and it's on my wall. So it is there on my wall. It's actually hanging in my bathroom. So every single day I get to see it, one of the first things in the morning.
All right. Is there no other questions? We're coming to the final mark here. If not, I think
we'll end it.
Yeah, we'll end it. I think Rob is the winner. What would you say?
I mean, Roofs is actually a good one, but I agree that Rob is definitely the winner here. So one of the things too, just to keep everybody in mind, we'll probably do some type of giveaway every week. I'm not sure what it is, but for the people asking questions, because I hope that you guys like this. Hope you enjoy it. And my promise to you is that I'll keep it to 30 minutes, just because and I know sometimes they can get long and drawn out, but we'll do it every week. And I hope that you show up and have a good time.
All right. Appreciate your time, Chris, and appreciate all of yours as well. We capped out at 66 viewers today. So great, great broadcast. And thank you all for that came up and asked questions. Rob, DM me on either Discord or Twitter, and I will get you that NFT, sir. All right. Talk to you later. Goodbye, everyone.
I can't wait until next week. We have the intro video. Maybe we'll get Block Runner to do it like Coop did.
Well, okay. Yeah, if he could do graphics like that, yeah, we get him to do it.
Anyways, well, I appreciate everybody. See you next week.
Bye-bye.